Did you know that you can create custom game modes in the virtual stump? With the scripting language Luau or Luau, which you may recognize from Roblox, map makers are able to create their own game modes using the gameplay functions and events that we have exposed through Luau. Adding a script to a project is actually really easy. As a quick example, navigate to the team tag example scene in the example map project, then just go to Tools, Export Maps. In the Map Export window, click on the Object Picker button, the little circle there, in the Custom Game Mode field. In the Object Picker window, search for Team Tag or just Team and double-click on the teamtag.txt file. The Team Tag script should now be appearing in the Custom Game Mode field, and also be sure to include Custom as an available game mode when you export. With the easy part out of the way, let's talk about actually writing a script. There's 3 basic needs to cover when creating a custom map script. First, you need to tell the program what objects in the scene you will be manipulating. Second, you need to set the initial state of these objects in the script. And third, you need to give specific instructions on how, when, and what to do with those objects. What you have been watching in the video for the last 20 seconds is a new scene setup following exactly the directions from part 2 in this series if you want to go back for a quick refresher. However, from this point, we are going to create 4 buttons in this scene in Unity to set up for our script. First, we want to create a sphere using the right-click menu in the hierarchy. Name this Start Button. Then go ahead, pull the sphere away from the V-stump and pull it out of the ground, and then reposition your camera for a better view. Then just go ahead and throw on any material to that sphere. Then back in the hierarchy, click on Start Button, then just Control-C, Control-V on your keyboard to create a copy. Rename the copy to Button 1, and then be sure to move the copy out from the original and give it a unique material just for practice. And then we'll repeat this process until we have button 1, button 2, and button 3. And then go ahead and turn off the colliders for these spheres by selecting them in the hierarchy and then deselecting Sphere Collider in the inspector window. So now we want to add our custom script to the game. So right-click the project window and select Show in Explorer, then navigate to the scripts folder. Inside of this folder, right-click, select New Text Document. Name it thebuttongame.txt. Now just close this window and that file should appear in the project window in the scripts folder. And now we want to double-click that document, which will open it in a text or code editor. For me, it's Visual Studio. Now when we open this file, it'll be empty as we haven't actually written any code yet. So go ahead and navigate to this URL, which should be linked in the description below, and that'll take you to a guide on our mod.io page that is just the script for this project. Copy that script from that page, and then paste it in the editor. And now just save the file. Now from here, we want to export the map by once again going to Tools, Export Maps. And in the map exporter, we want to make sure that our scene is appropriately selected, that custom is an available game mode and the default game mode, and then we want to add the buttongame.txt to the custom game mode field. And then export. Now before we test, let's look at the code to see what it actually does. Remembering the 3 basic needs, first, here we are declaring what objects in the scene we will be manipulating, the buttons. Second, here we are setting the initial states of those buttons as well as the states of the game loop. And then third, here we have a basic instruction on how to check if a button is pressed, followed by the core game loop instructions. Now when you go to test, the script will not run until you actually leave the virtual stump and get put into a room. You'll notice as I exit, you can see all 4 buttons. However, the moment the script runs, those buttons disappear. When the script ran, the first thing it did was look for and found those buttons. The second thing it did was set the initial states of those objects. It also set the initial state of the game loop by saying we're not playing and we also have not yet collected any buttons. It will also continually run this tick function, the game loop, the whole time we're in this room. This function first checks to see if we've started the game loop. If not, it checks to see if we have just pressed the button. Once we have pressed the button, it will first set the game phase to 1, meaning we have started the game. It makes sure we've started the game fresh, sets the start button invisible, and sets the collection buttons visible. Then it will run this check until you've collected the buttons. Then as you collect each button, it will set button collected to true for that button. And once all of those buttons are collected and invisible, it will reset the game phase to 0 and set the visibility of the start button back to true. And then you can play again or just celebrate for doing a good job.